You ever buy a place thinking all you'll get is peace and quiet and end up landing right in the middle of a war? That's how it started for me, just a guy trying to put his life back together, picking up the pieces after my wife Hannah passed, looking for somewhere out of the way, somewhere nobody would bother me, not even a stray lawn committee or the neighbor's yappy dog. But what I got was the kind of HOA madness you'd think only happens in comedy sketches or on the 6 o'clock news with my mugshot in the corner. It was this old lake house tucked at the end of a gravel road deep in the Carolina pines, with water so still it looked like glass and a view that felt like a secret. The place had been empty almost a decade, moss swallowing the steps, porch half-sagged memories, drifting through the broken window screens. That suited me just fine. No casseroles, no small talk, nobody poking around asking if I was okay. I just wanted to fix something, maybe myself in the process. Bought it in cash, straight up from an old guy whose family had all but forgotten about him. Not a mortgage in sight, not a hint of HOA anywhere in the paperwork. I had title insurance, notarized, deeds, maps, permits, all filed, stamped, and locked up in a fireproof safe. If you squinted at the county overlay, my land sat like a little island outside of anything called Clear Pine Retreat, just the way I wanted it. Those first few months I worked from sunup to dusk. Sanded down the pine floors till they shone rebuilt. The doc fixed up a little guest cabin out back, something Hannah always dreamed of. At night I'd sit on the end of that dock with a cold beer, listening to the frogs, watching the stars come out, feeling the quiet settle deep down in my bones. The closest thing to neighbors were the occasional jogger from the development down the hill or kids zipping by in golf carts. Nobody bothered me. I sure didn't bother them. That changed on a Friday, right about the time the cicadas started going nuts. I heard music echoing across the lake, real music, not just a Bluetooth speaker, but a full-on teenage bacchanal. Bunch of kids out there tossing beer cans, turning my dock into a trampoline. And there he was, king of the lake, some kid with $60 swim trunks and a vape pen barking orders like he owned the place. When I told them to clear out, he just grinned and said, "Relax, man. My mom says we can hang here whenever." That set off a little fire in my chest. Didn't yell, didn't threaten, just called the sheriff and let them scatter. Didn't take long to find out who the ringleader was. Randall Stone, son of Karen Stone, self-proclaimed HOA queen down in Clear Pine. Folks at the bait shop just shook their heads and said, "She thinks she owns the mountain." I laughed, but not in the friendly way. Next day, I put up cameras, installed a locking gate, figured I'd make it clear this land wasn't a playground for bored rich kids or their overbearing parents. Didn't expect to see Karen Stone herself show up on my porch, all perfume and power blazer, looking at me like I'd parked a rusted truck on her front lawn. She didn't even knock, just started right in. Told me my property was historically linked to her community, and get this, verbally promised to her son, Randall, that I was occupying it. I almost choked. She said it so matter-of-fact, waving around a red folder as if it had the 10 Commandments in there. "I'm offering you 30 days to vacate," she said, like a queen bestowing mercy. I just handed her my binder of deeds, surveys, the whole 9 yards, and told her if her son wanted a lake house, he should try Zillow. She left a sign staked in my yard on the way out, subject to HOA review. No letterhead, just nerve. Next day, a fake bill for $900 shows up, left under a rock on my porch. Community infrastructure fees. You believe that? For a road and dock I'd built and maintained myself. I drove straight to the county office. Nancy, the clerk, all eagle-eyed and sharp as a tack, pulled up my plat and said, "They've tried this before. You're exempt." She made me copies. We had coffee. She even promised to testify if it came to that. I went home and doubled down more cameras, more copies, called my lawyer Hank, just in case. You'd think that'd slow him down, but Karen's family operates on a different planet. A week later, 2 moving trucks roll up at dawn, engines rumbling like an invasion. Out pops Randall Sunglasses breakfast burrito and all the self-importance of a guy who's never heard no. He tells me he's moving in. Says it's family property. I just called the sheriff. Deputy Wilkes, good man, took one look at my paperwork, whistled, and told Randall to beat it. 5 minutes later, Randall's in the cruiser, still clutching his burrito like Exhibit A. Drivers backed out, apologizing. I thought maybe, just maybe that'd be the end, but nope. Next day, a video pops up online, grainy footage of me cut to look like I'm the aggressor, captioned, "Community stands against violence." Flyers get taped to my gate, notes stuffed under my windshield. "The community sees you. Enjoy your last month." Even found a fishing line strung across my path, almost broke my neck fishing line and glass on the trail, my mailbox torn out and dumped in the creek, my boat's mooring rope sliced clean. They even installed a camera pointed straight at my bedroom. That's when I went from patient to pissed. I marched into the sheriff's office with every photo, every note, every inch of video. Sergeant Ellison, no nonsense, saw the footage and said, "You got a real problem. That camera's a felony." They started a file. I started sleeping with a tire iron by the bed. But I wasn't just playing defense, I got smarter. Upgraded all the cameras, cloud backups, trail spikes. Every note they left, every sign, every spray-painted wall, added it to my file. Then came the forgery. Karen paraded around a letter supposedly from Wallace Haskins, the old owner claiming he'd intended the property for her family. Problem was, Wallace was still alive and he wasn't about to be used as a pawn. I tracked him down at his hospice, asked if he'd ever written such a letter. "Hell no," he said. Even gave me a video statement, signed an affidavit, the works. Turns out Karen tried to buy his blessing for 15 grand. He told her to shove it. Now I had the smoking gun. But Karen wasn't done. She sent some guy in a fake vest to inspect drainage compliance with a badge he'd printed off at Kinko's. My lawyer Hank started building a case, forgery, harassment, conspiracy, you name it. Then fate did me a favor. Randall got himself arrested for DUI 2 counties over. When the cops went through his laptop, they found every draft of the fake letter complete with metadata linking it back to Karen's own email. Even had notes like "remember to print" on aged paper. Sometimes the universe throws you a bone. We filed for a restraining order. Judge signed it quick as you please. I nailed a copy to my front gate right under Karen's old sign. Wilkes served Randall in person. Karen still tried to talk her way out, told the deputy he didn't know who he was messing with. "Ma'am, the only mistake here is thinking you're above the law," he shot back. Can't say I didn't smile at that. But Karen played her last card, full-blown propaganda. Flyers everywhere, edited photos, wild accusations calling me a squatter, a fraudster, you name it. One night a truck tore up my lawn and spray-painted HOA or war on my wall. Ellison said, "Next time we go criminal." So we added every incident, every flyer, every scrap of proof to our lawsuit. When court day finally rolled around, I showed up in the same suit I wore to Hannah's funeral, serious as a heart attack. Hank brought 4 binders of evidence, everything from deed copies to video of Wallace Haskins to the forged files from Randall's laptop. On their side, Karen sat stiff as a corpse, Randall looking like he wanted to disappear, their lawyer sweating bullets. Judge Martinez didn't have time for games. She listened, watched the videos, heard every witness from the clerk at the land office to Adam, my neighbor, who secretly filmed the HOA meetings. Best part, watching Karen squirm when Hank asked Randall to explain how a legacy letter from 2012 got written on his MacBook in February. Randall tried to play dumb. "My mom writes stuff on my laptop sometimes." Judge wasn't buying it. Verdict was fast. No HOA jurisdiction letter was forged, harassment and trespass proven. Karen personally liable for $250K, the HOA for $125K, permanent restraining orders, and a note on the county plat making sure nobody ever tried this again. You'd think that'd be it, right? But justice has a long tail. Karen got arrested, charged with fraud evidence, fabrication, harassment, the works. HOA dissolved, residents voted to disband. Some folks started a subreddit, Karen. Tried to annex my lawn. Randall skipped town. Karen pled out 5 years probation, banned from any board position, house sold to pay the judgment. She sent a letter, something about regret and moving on peacefully. I framed it right next to my court order, just for laughs. Took some time off after all that. Spent my days working the land, fixing the fence, drinking coffee on the dock, nothing but the frogs and the heron for company. Adam brings bread sometimes. We just sit, watch the lake, don't talk about the war. The story spread, sure bloggers, podcasts, folks, wanting advice. I started a little blog, HOA Survivor. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about warning the next person, the one who just wants a quiet life, but ends up fighting for what should have been theirs all along. So that's where you'll find me. Doc Coffee Peace earned the hard way. And if you ever wonder what's right or wrong in a world run by bylaws, just remember, sometimes the quietest people are the last ones you want to back into a corner. So tell me, have you ever fought for what's yours? Where's the line between stewardship and war? Drop your story in the comments. Let's talk about justice, real justice, the kind you have to fight for.